Let me see. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our virtual community prayer this week. For some more information about our community prayer, our community prayer is held each Wednesday during the fall and spring semester at 12 p.m., either remotely or on Zoom or in person with a live stream feed. It is approximately 30 minutes and it's often followed by Holy Grounds, which is a virtual meeting and a time for informal conversation focused on the theme of the community prayer for the week. Once a month, we will have a community meal offered after the in-person prayer service. An effort will be made to provide kosher, halal, and vegan options, so everyone's welcome. Our community prayer offers the university the opportunity to gather together for spiritual support. The format and focus of the service will change and take shape of a particular tradition of the community prayer leader each week. Attendees who do not identify with the tradition being celebrated in a week are encouraged to attend and be participating observers as their comfort level allows. Participants from any and no religious tradition are always welcome. We're excited to have you join us today for a session filled with learning, reflecting, and prayer together. Before we begin, we'd also like to acknowledge that the land where we learn, teach, dialogue, and pray, and where some of us are blessed to live, is sacred. We pay respect to the traditional custodians of the land where the city of Hartford is situated. We honor the memory and hope for their future. We aspire to uphold our responsibilities on this land and to work for peace in this world in accordance with their example. Today, we are so excited to welcome Dr. Preeta M. Banerjee to be our guest speaker. She's also an HIU alum, so it's wonderful to have her back. Dr. Banerjee serves as the Associate Director of Spiritual Life in the Office of Belonging and Inclusion at Babson College, where she supports a multi-faith team of chaplains that provide spiritual care to students from all faith backgrounds. Prior, she served as the Hindu chaplain at Tufts University. She's a spiritual companion who draws on a broad and deep range of experience, having spent over 25 years in academia, coaching, and consulting as an advocate, educator, researcher, and author. Her passion lies in creating brave spaces at the intersection of contemplation, activism, and healing, and deepening an interreligious manyness from a lens rooted in Bhakti, Gyan, Karma, and Raj Yoga. Please forgive me if I mispronounced any of those things. She is a founding board member of the North American Hindu Chaplains Association, co-editor of the Unfolding Journal for the Association for Chaplaincy and Spiritual Life in Higher Education, and she is completing her naturalist certification with M.A. Audubon. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Preeta Banerjee.
It's so good to be with you all. Thank you for reaching out, and thanks to the universe for getting that reach out from Tufts to Babson as we have made this transition together. I am in my second full week of being in this amazing position. And I'm really happy to share about a festival, celebration, and way of life that is occurring right now in many faith traditions, primarily the Hindu faith tradition called Diwali. So before we begin, I wanted to start with a prayer. It's a chant. The language is Sanskrit, which can be likened to the root language of Latin. Sanskrit is still spoken and used to communicate and is a root language to the 144 dialects in the diaspora, in Hindu diaspora, Indian diaspora, actually. So the chant I will read or chant in Sanskrit, and then I will translate to English, and you can read along. So, Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Gamayam Namaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Oh, you can say universe, Om, great one, whatever, spirits that be, lead me from the unreal to the real, lead me from darkness to light, lead me from death to immortality. May peace be, may peace be, may peace be. And with that, I'd love to begin with what is Diwali? So it is, oh, sorry, I went forward. It is one of the most widely celebrated Hindu festivals in India and around the world. And it's celebrated during the Hindu months of Ashvin and Kartika between mid-September and mid-November, noting that we have a lunar calendar, and so that date shifts with the Roman calendar. So there are different calendars, and so it's not always the same day. I have been crying a lot this year because my school district that my children are in, they have given us Diwali off. So November 1st, I am going to like 3 or 4 celebrations. I also have been wished happy Diwali sometimes before happy Halloween. So it's been awesome, I have to tell you. So the rituals and customs associated with celebrating Diwali vary on the regional traditions and cultural customs. Also, as I will speak about later, it's shared. It's not just a Hindu holiday. Jains, Buddhists, and others do celebrate Diwali in different ways. So what does it look like? As I mentioned, there can be multiple ways. So I just put a table here of some of the cultures and customs across the Indian diaspora or Hindu diaspora. And it's connected to multiple days, not just, I mean, this year, November 1st, it's multiple days, 3 to 5 days, depending on the customs. And the primary sacred story is of Ram's return to his kingdom of Ayodhya with his wife Sita and his brother Lakshmana after defeating demon king Ravana. So the sacred story is actually the basis of what we call the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell heavily utilized the sacred story of Ram to develop that philosophy or way of being. And basically, it is a true story. It is documented. It has been historically verified, although it is mythologized, as any story told over 7,000 years might be. The original occurrence was a king had to keep his word. So Ram's father had to keep his word. And we believe it was the Satya Yuga, which is a time of truth telling. Right now, we're in the Kali Yuga, which is full of animosity and chaos, as we're seeing right now and experiencing right now. But at that time, people kept their word. And so in order for Ram's father to keep his word to a person who saved his life, Ram had to abdicate, taking on the throne, and go into 14 years of exile. And because it was a time of truth and keeping words, Sita, who is bonded to Ram through marriage, and his younger brother Lakshmana, who's bonded to his elder brother through mentorship, left into the forest for 14 years. And Diwali is the day of return, connected to Navratri, which we just celebrated, which is the goddess festival, which is actually a spring festival that was moved to fall. But Ram celebrated in the fall to help him be energized to have his victory. And the time it took from the victory, or Dasara, which you might have wished people happy Dasara, to returning to Ayodhya, is that time in between Dasara and Navratri. So that's the main story. Now, it's also connected to our creation story of Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity and wealth, as well as new beginnings, Ganesha, the god of wisdom and remover of obstacles, and Vishnu, Krishna, Durga, Shiva, Kali. I mean, I'm going to Kali puja because in Eastern traditions, I'm from Bengal, Kali is worshipped. Hanuman, Kubera, Yama, Yami, Davantari, Vikshvarnam is, I think, a south. Sorry, I mispronounced that. That's a southern celebration. So all of these are happening at the same time, as well as in Nepal, celebrating animals. And there's a day, each day is for animals. The crow, the dog, the cow. And as I mentioned, Jains observe Diwali for the final liberation of Mahavir, and Sikhs celebrate Banda Chor Divas, the release of Guru Hargobind from a Mughal prison. Also, Newar Buddhists celebrate Lakshmi as well. And I think this also nuances that some Buddhists recognize very closely their ties from the stream of traditions that came from Hinduism. So it's more united in the dharmic streams in some forms of Buddhism. So I wanted to go more into these days of Diwali. What's actually happening over these 3 to 5 days? Well, first, there's a lot of cleaning of the home. It's really important to light a clean and open and bright home, a sign of welcome to the victory. And one of those welcomes is a huge rangoli or a mandala made of powders, flowers, the diyas themselves or the clay lamps that are lit, torans, which are the hangings at the doorway, usually made of mango leaves and flowers, and as well as puja, which is the actual worship observance to deities and all the things that go along with that, including prasadam, which is the holy food, and lots of sweets, lots of sweets, and the sharing of new clothes and gifts. The last day, which I'm also doing with my brothers and sisters over I mean, this is contemporary. We're using FaceTime because we can't all be together, is brother ceremony, which I call Bhai Putta. It's also called Bhai Dooj. That's the last day for us this year, November 3rd, where we celebrate brothers and sisters. And it can be biological, it can be through choice, and we honor that relationship and that we all need each other. I wanted to really highlight this amazing announcement. Again, I've been crying a lot because these never existed when I grew up in this country, and I'm so glad they're happening now. The Montville Township Police Department posted this on October 16th. I'll read it verbatim. With Diwali coming up this October, I'm sorry, it's covered. I want the residents and citizens to be aware of a common symbol of this holiday is the Diwali swastika. This symbol is known to date back to 3000 BCE, a symbol of good fortune and good wishes. The swastika is a holy symbol in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. The word swastika comes from the Sanskrit word su, good, and asti, to prevail. In Hinduism, the right hand swastika is a sign of the sun and auspiciousness, while the left hand version symbolizes the night and the goddess. Understanding the concerns people may have seeing this symbol being displayed on cars and houses, we wanted to inform all of you that there's good reason you may see it more frequently this month, because Diwali, October 31st to November 1st. This post is in light of our police department already fielding calls regarding people seeing this symbol, and wanted to eliminate any unwarranted hostility towards people's displaying this for religious purposes. I think this is so important. I'll leave it at that. The Nazi symbol was a perversion of something that was dated far before and used for good, and is currently used as well. So if you see people spitting on people, tearing their things down, calling the police, please know to be an upstander and that you have this post from the Montville Township Police Department to support your actions of being an upstander and ally to Hindu people and Jain and Buddhists. So with that, I wanted to open it up for questions and concerns or anything at all. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Banerjee. I learned so much from your presentation, and I feel so thankful that we were able to share a virtual space with you today. Does anyone in the audience have any questions for Dr. Banerjee?
I have one. Yeah. I noticed you said, yeah, first of all, thank you for your presentation. I think it's like very right in line with our mission here at HIU because we are all about educating people to reduce, you know, religious prejudices and also increase peace. And I think especially, what you said, the last slide, like that's so important. And it was something I had kind of been aware of, but not heard explained that clearly. And so my question though was about, I noticed that you said in Eastern India, the in Bangladesh, they worship the goddess Kali. And first, I wanted you to just talk a little bit about who is this goddess and what does she represent? Because I thought that um, she's a very interesting symbol in Hinduism. And then why that goddess maybe? Is there something specific to those areas that encourages them to worship Kali? Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, lovely question. So in Hinduism, there is a huge spectrum of practice of the philosophy. So I want to uplift that it's a world religions paradigm to call Hinduism a religion. I do not think that people within Hinduism would agree to that. It's a number of faiths, just like our indigenous siblings and our Africana cosmologies. So there are multiple number of ways of being. So it can go anywhere from humanism or secularism, where Hinduism is a philosophy, scientific philosophy, all the way to having any number of Ishvara or like personal images or portals towards some kind of relationship, all the way to a God that is omnipresent, all-knowing, undivisible into image. And so a lot of Advaita Vedanta practitioners don't have an image, or even you might know Rabindranath Tagore. So Rabindranath Tagore created a sect of Hinduism as recently as 1912, 1913. This is when the Titanic was happening, right? So it's very recent that the Brahma Samaj, which Rabindranath Tagore brought to light, has no images. You are not allowed. It's not part. It's not. It's seen as a distraction to have a personal image or portal. For me, and all of this has been about from my point of view. So please, when you speak these, knowing that Hinduism is so varied, you can attribute me and all mistakes are mine. But for me, the deity of Kali is about Kal or time and darkness, which is for me everything. And we have seen in the spectrum of light, black is allness of all the colors, all the frequencies, all the vibrations. And so Kali is represented as a Black woman, which is very important to me in my work and how I even got called into chaplaincy through hashtag Black Lives Matter movement. So what does that mean? That there's a goddess of time or Kal or everything or nothing, is transformation. So those who are invoking Kali are invoking the and, the that idea that, when you're really happy, you might cry. When you're really sad, you might laugh. When you're very angry, you might be absolutely calm. And when you're calm, you might be, you might be shouting in glee. All these things are related and cyclical, and that notion, the actual story of the sacred story of Kali comes from the Devi Mahatyam, which is chapter in the Markandeya Purana. Purana means old scripture. So the Markandeya Purana was written by the Rishi Markandeya. The Purana, it means old scripture, and some of those chapters are referred to as the Devi Mahatyam. And in particular, the idea of the goddess comes from that Shakti is this strength, this ever-present electricity of the universe, and that that is realized. So this big zero that is realized in the linear application of some of the gods. And so we have a sacred number 108. 1 is the masculine, 0 is the feminine, and 8 is infinity, right? So this is all again for me and the teachings that I'm following. So there was a very pious person who was given a boon to never be killed by a man in night or day. And the masculine divine could not kill him when the power got to his head. He went from pious to corrupted very quickly. And so they subsumed themselves into the divine feminine, or Shakti. And when Shakti was trying to remedy this great evil, every drop of blood was recreating evil. So every time blood was spilt from this evil individual, it was creating more evil in the world. And so Kali was needed, almost akin to the whirling dervish idea of spinning, and was just capturing all these drops of blood in order to vanquish evil. The imagery of Kali is to remove ego, remove the head, remove the ego, and remove the hands or the actions, and let us just be in that divine surrender, which is this kind of surrender, not that kind of surrender like, oh, tell me what to do. It's an external. No, it's like, I know what to do. I'm surrendering to that divine will. And so I hope I answered your question. There's so much more to say.
Thank you.
In the chat, we have a question that says, is Kali relevant to and an important representation of the Kali Yuga?
Yes, which is the time we're in. So yes, that is it's an and time, you guys. we're in the ands. We are in a bit of a sorting time, and it's followed by there's 3 other yugs which we've gone through. And so it's akin, all of these akins help us understand, like when we had the Bronze Age and the Gold, like we had these ages of life. And so it's akin to that. So yes, it is. I mean, I would say I need her more than ever. But yes, Kali Yuga is named so because of that need, that transformation that's happening.
Are there any other questions in the audience?
A student asked me on Monday, what it means to do arati, or what the lights signify. So maybe I'll do that while people are gathering their questions. So we light the diyas, and in arati, which is a particular practice of circumambulating the image or portal to whatever personal relationship, it's actually us too. Like, think about it. Like, we are circling our own heart and head in light. And so there's this mirroring in the worship practice. And light means like, this is a time of victory over evil. Our culture, our faith does believe in evil. And so what is that which can vanquish evil? Is sacredness, right? It's not in particular good versus bad. It's more of a circular dharmic, the wheel is used in a lot of dharmic representation. So there's a lot of parables of like, is it good? Is it bad? Who knows? But sacredness is really that, what we can turn to in times of great evil. And so it's that sacred time of victory over evil, and of like using the warmth and the illumination of light to signify our commitments towards self-knowledge and enlightenment.
I saw Hina had a question. She'd raised her hand. Are you still here? And if so, would you like to ask your question?
Hi, thank you, Fatima. Yeah, I raised my hand and then I lowered it because I think I was going to go take everybody down a rabbit hole of Kali Yuga. I thought it was so interesting, but I do want to thank Dr. Banerjee. Thank you so much. This is so informative. I'm from Pakistan, and we think we know so much about Diwali because I've had growing up, Hindu friends who've observed it, and we're so engaged with Bollywood. We know what it is, but never had I, experienced the translation of the chant that you did, which was so enlightening. And then to go through, to take us through the various, the narrative behind this. Which resonates so much with so much that we experience in our religious practice. So just wanted to leave that with a thank you, and hopefully I don't know if this is being recorded. I'd love to see the recorded version of this, and maybe if we have questions, if you allow, we could always reach out to you. I don't know.
Yes, it was on the last slide, so when you look at the recording, you'll see it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, my dearest friend growing up, we grew up in Kansas, so we were like this. Also is from Pakistan, and we shared so much about our faiths. She being Muslim and me being Hindu, in solidarity as the two brown girls growing up in Kansas. So thank you for reminding me of her. I will reach out to her today.
I'm also going to reach out to my Hindu friend from high school, because we have to take Islamiyat as a course. It's a mandatory course. And I remember I taught her the course requirements for Islamiyat, and she got an A and I got a C. So I have to reach out to her to get some of that knowledge on Hinduism from her as well. Anyway, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Interfaith friendships. I'm going to reach out to my Hindu college friend after this today. Let me see. Chinonso asked in the chat, do you have a book to recommend based on your presentation?
Oh, wow. What part of it? So many books. Which part would you like to delve into more? You can reach out to me always, and I have so many books. I have a whole bookcase full of recommendations, and in particular there are many people who write in interreligious ways. So like, if you are approaching it from Islamic, Judaic, Christian perspective, there are authors that can speak in a language that's accessible and help move towards understanding Hinduism. I always love those translators because they help, build bridges.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, I was a bit late. I was a bit late to the presentation, but the last part was pretty inviting, so I needed to know more. But since the video will be shared, the video recording will be shared, I will have more questions to ask upon receipt of it.
Yes, I think the video is being shared.
Yes.
And I think you can ask me. My email is on the last slide.
Okay, thank
you. Fantastic. I have a question for you. So I live physically in Houston, and there's a beautiful mandir here. I may have the opportunity to visit on Saturday when they're having their New Year Aarti celebration, but I've never been to a mandir during Diwali. So what might I see when I go?
Thank you. That's such a beautiful question. Yeah, so as you can tell, because it's so varied and personal, like sometimes there's a family way of doing it, or a community way of doing it, or a regional way of doing it. If you have a friend to take you, and then also just being very open to being yelled at by an auntie, because that's the way we do. Like, we're just correct. Like, there's no shame. We don't believe in sin. There's no like right or wrong. So if you just engage and somebody says no, then you're like, okay, how do I do it? And just like rolling with that, because that is, we're very much, even now, like, look, I was a Hindu chaplain for 4 or 5 years, and now I'm leading spiritual life, and I still get yelled at by my aunties because there's so many different ways to do things. And so I'm very open to that. I'm open to learning, and I don't feel guilt or shame. I just feel open-heartedness and love that someone is willing to correct me and is watching me and making sure I'm having the fullest experience.
Thank you so much.